The alarm blared through Earth Defense Station Alpha, causing Admiral Eric Mason to look up from his console. His weathered face showed no surprise, only grim satisfaction. The moment they had prepared for had finally arrived. "Sir, incoming transmission from the Galactic Council," announced Lieutenant Peter Kelly, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "Priority 1. Mason nodded. "Put it through to the main screen." The massive display at the front of the command center flickered to life. The face that appeared belonged to Grand Arbiter Zilthar, the Council's chief diplomatic officer. The alien's blue-gray skin glistened under ceremonial lights, 4 eyes blinking in sequence as was customary for formal announcements. "People of Earth," Zilthar began, voice carrying that distinct melodic quality of the Sindari species. "The Galactic Council has reached its final decision regarding your petition for membership." Mason felt the eyes of every officer in the command center on him. For 50 years, Earth had played this game. For 50 years, they had jumped through hoops, answered invasive questions, shared carefully selected technologies, and endured patronizing assessments. After thorough deliberation and careful examination of your species' history and behavior patterns, the Council has determined that humanity is not yet ready for full integration into the galactic community. There it was. The rejection they had expected all along. Mason exchanged glances with his second-in-command, Commander Olivia Wright. Her usually warm brown eyes had turned cold. Zilthar continued, "Earth will be placed under quarantine status for the next 300 cycles. No interstellar travel will be permitted beyond your solar system. Council observers will remain in place to monitor your development. We hope that in time your species will overcome its inherent tendencies toward conflict and unpredictability." The transmission ended without opportunity for response. For a moment, silence filled the command center. "They actually did it," Wright said, breaking the quiet. "They really think they can just lock us in our own solar system." Mason stood up slowly. At 62, his movements weren't as fluid as they once had been, but his mind remained razor sharp. "Send the coded message to all stations. 2 words only. Prometheus active." Kelly's fingers hesitated over the console. Everyone knew what those words meant. "Sir, once we do this..." "There's no going back," Mason finished for him. "I know, send it." As Kelly transmitted the message, Mason turned to Wright. "It's time to show the Council exactly what they've been missing during their evaluations." Across Earth, hidden facilities began powering up. In the depths of the Pacific Ocean, beneath the Antarctic ice sheet, and buried within mountain ranges, massive engines hummed to life. 50 years of preparation, all leading to this moment. Mason left the command center with Wright close behind. They entered a smaller, more secure room where only the highest-ranking officers had access. Inside waited Dr. Greg Harris, the brilliant physicist whose work had made Operation Prometheus possible. "They rejected us, I assume?" Harris asked, though the answer was clear from their expressions. "Just as we predicted," Mason confirmed. "Activate the Phoenix protocol." Harris nodded and placed his palm on a scanner. A hidden panel slid open, revealing a simple red button. 50 years of reverse engineering their tech. 50 years of pretending to be less advanced than we are. All for this moment. He pressed the button. Miles below the surface of the Earth, something ancient and powerful stirred to life. On the Galactic Council station orbiting Proxima Centauri, Counselor Neem Lorath felt pleased with the day's decision. The humans had been put in their place. They were simply too unpredictable, too dangerous to allow free reign among the civilized species of the galaxy. "A wise choice," said Council Security Director Valthex, a tall, insectoid being from the Arcturian system. "I've studied their history. They spend more time fighting each other than advancing their civilization." "Indeed," Nim Lorath agreed. "Though they did make remarkable progress in the last 2 centuries, from primitive combustion engines to rudimentary space travel in such a short time." "Which only proves their instability," Valthex chittered. "No balanced species develops that quickly. It suggests dangerous levels of resource consumption and competition." Their conversation was interrupted by a junior officer rushing into the chamber, breaking all protocols of proper council etiquette. "Forgive the intrusion," the young Felbian gasped, "but we've lost contact with all observation posts near the Sol system." Valthex straightened to his full height. "All of them? That's 17 outposts? Simultaneously?" The officer nodded nervously. "Yes, Director. One moment they were transmitting routine reports, and the next? Nothing." Nimlorath felt a chill run through his triple vascular system. Could it be a natural phenomenon? A solar flare, perhaps? The answer came in the form of blaring alarms. The station's AI announced in its calm voice, "Warning, multiple unidentified vessels approaching. Configuration unknown." The main view screen activated automatically, showing space around the station. What appeared made both council members freeze in shock. Dozens of sleek black ships had appeared seemingly out of nowhere. Their design was like nothing in the council database. Angular in some sections, smoothly curved in others with no visible propulsion systems. "Impossible," Valthex whispered. "Human technology couldn't possibly—" "Incoming transmission from the lead vessel," the AI interrupted. The screen changed to show a human female, dark hair pulled back tightly, wearing a uniform neither council member recognized. "Greetings, honored council representatives. I am Captain Susan Reyes of the Earth vessel Defiance. We thought it time for an unscheduled performance review." Valthex found his voice first. "This is outrageous. You have violated council space and—" "Actually," Reyes interrupted, her smile never wavering. "According to your own regulations, Section 47, Paragraph 9, any species under evaluation may request demonstration of their technological capabilities as part of their membership petition. We're simply providing that demonstration." The camera view widened to show the bridge of her vessel. Several humans worked at various stations, all calm and professional. One stepped forward, a tall man, with dark skin and intelligent eyes. "I am Dr. Alan Rodriguez, former liaison to the council," he said. "For decades you've evaluated us as individuals, never as a collective. That was your first mistake." Nimlorath struggled to process what was happening. "How did you bypass our detection systems? This station has the most advanced sensors in the galaxy." Rodriguez smiled. "While your diplomats were lecturing us about regulations, we were studying your technology. While you deliberated, we innovated." On Earth, Olivia Wright stood in the underground command center beneath Denver, watching the exchange on her own screens. Around her, technicians monitored the global operation. "All squadrons report ready," her communications officer announced. Wright nodded, satisfaction evident in her expression. "The council thought they were evaluating us. They never realized we were studying their weaknesses all along." She opened a channel to Admiral Mason. "Phase 1 complete, sir. The council is now aware of our presence." Mason's voice came through clearly. "Excellent. Proceed to Phase 2. Let's show them exactly what Earth can do when pushed too far." Across the solar system, hidden human ships emerged from camouflaged bases on the moon, from inside hollowed-out asteroids, and from beneath, the clouds of Jupiter. Earth had unleashed its fury, and the Galactic Council was completely caught off guard. High Chancellor Ekvar rushed into the council chamber, his ceremonial robes fluttering behind him. The emergency had pulled him from a diplomatic banquet with the Andromedan delegation. As the head of the Galactic Council, he rarely dealt with minor issues. This was no minor issue. "Explain this situation," he demanded, looking at the view screen where Captain Susan Reyes of Earth still waited patiently. Valthex stepped forward. "Chancellor, the humans have somehow deployed advanced vessels throughout Council space. They appeared simultaneously at 17 strategic locations. They have bypassed our detection systems and—" "I can hear you," Reyes interrupted from the screen. "And I'm happy to explain our presence directly." Chancellor Ekvar straightened his tall frame. Though his species evolved from avian ancestors, there was nothing fragile about his bearing. "Very well, human. Explain why you have violated Council space immediately after receiving notification of your quarantine status." Reyes nodded respectfully. Chancellor, Earth has spent 50 years attempting to join your community through proper channels. For 50 years we have been studied, tested, and ultimately judged as unworthy. Yet during those same 50 years, you've allowed your observers unfettered access to our world. They have walked among us, studied our cities, our technology, our ways, as is standard procedure for all evaluation candidates, HFY stated firmly. Indeed, Reyes agreed. But what isn't standard is for the candidate species to observe you in return. She gestured to someone off-screen, and the transmission split. To show various locations throughout council space, human operatives were revealed working in council facilities, living on council worlds, and even serving aboard council vessels. Impossible, whispered Nimloreth. Dr. Rodriguez stepped into view again. For each official diplomat we sent to your chambers, we dispatched 10 observers elsewhere. Your arrogance made infiltration almost laughably easy. Your species believe yourselves so superior that you never considered we might be studying you, as thoroughly as you studied us. Back on Earth, Admiral Mason watched the exchange from his command post. Beside him, Dr. Harris monitored the activation of Earth's hidden defense systems. The Phoenix network is fully operational, Harris reported. All satellites are in position and cloaked. Mason nodded. Excellent, and our ground teams? Reporting in from all council facilities, Harris confirmed. Nicole Barnes and her security team have secured the research station in the Rigel system. The council's weapons development facility is under our control. Mason allowed himself a small smile. Not bad for a species too unpredictable to join the galactic community. On the council research station orbiting Rigel 4, Security Chief Nicole Barnes led her team through sterile white corridors. The alien scientists watched in shock as humans in Earth Defense Force uniforms secured the facility. Please remain calm, Barnes announced to the gathered researchers. We mean you no harm. We are here to inspect this facility, not to damage it or hurt anyone. A tall, tentacled scientist stepped forward. How did you get past our security systems? This facility is supposed to be undetectable. Barnes smiled. Because we helped design those systems. Or rather, the components you purchased from shell corporations on the edge of council space came from Earth manufacturers. We've had backdoor access to your security for 15 years. On the Defiance, Captain Reyes continued her conversation with the council leadership. Chancellor, we're not here to start a war. We're here to end your misconceptions about humanity. HFY's feathered crest flattened against his skull, a sign of extreme stress in his species. By threatening our most secure facilities, by demonstrating military capabilities you claimed not to possess, by showing you that your evaluation process is fundamentally flawed, Reyes corrected. You judge species based on your own values and experiences. You found us wanting because we don't fit your model of civilization. The Chancellor's eyes narrowed. Humans have a history of violence that exceeds most known species. Yes, Rodriguez agreed. We've fought terrible wars among ourselves. But from those conflicts came our greatest advancements in medicine, in technology, in social organization. Our capacity for violence is matched only by our capacity for compassion and innovation. In Denver, Commander Wright received reports from across the solar system. Earth ships had emerged from hidden bases throughout their territory, showing strength without aggression. Message from the lunar colony, a communications officer reported. Governor Heather Martinez requests permission to reveal the subsurface city. Wright considered for a moment. Granted. Let the council see everything now. No more secrets. Beneath the surface of Earth's moon, massive hangar doors opened, revealing a sprawling human settlement. For decades, the council observers had been shown only the small research outpost on the surface, a facade hiding the true extent of lunar colonization. On Mars, similar revelations occurred as the true scale of human terraforming efforts became apparent. What the council believed to be early-stage atmospheric processors were actually the final phase of a much more advanced system. We've completed the atmospheric shield, Governor Martinez informed a stunned group of council representatives who, had been invited to tour the facility. Mars will be fully habitable within 5 years, not the 50 we led you to believe. On the council station, the leadership struggled to process these revelations. What they had dismissed as a primitive species was proving to be anything but. "What do you want?" Chancellor HFY finally asked. "A real conversation," Reyes answered simply, "not as supplicants begging for admission, but as equals. The quarantine ends today. The patronizing evaluations end today. From this moment forward, Earth deals with the Council as a sovereign power." Counselor Nimlorath found his voice. "And if we refuse?" Reyes's expression remained pleasant, but her eyes hardened. "Then you will discover that the capabilities we've revealed represent only a fraction of what humanity can do when truly provoked." In the silent moment that followed, Admiral Mason spoke quietly to his team on Earth. "Prepare for Phase 3. Either they come to the table as equals, or we show them why that was their only sensible option." Throughout human colonies across the solar system, civilians watched the confrontation on public view screens. 50 years of feeling judged and found wanting by alien bureaucrats had created a deep well of resentment. Now, that resentment had transformed into something more powerful: pride. On a small farm in Iowa, an elderly man watched the news with his granddaughter. "When I was your age," he told her, "we thought we were alone in the universe. Then we learned we weren't alone, but we were unwelcome. Today, we're teaching the galaxy that humanity won't be sidelined." The little girl looked up at him with wide eyes. "Are we going to fight the aliens, Grandpa?" The old man shook his head. "No, sweetheart. We're going to make them respect us, and that's a much harder battle to win." The council chamber had never been so quiet. 23 representatives from the most powerful species in the galaxy sat in stunned silence. The humans had just delivered an ultimatum that shattered 500 years of established galactic order. "We need time to discuss this among ourselves," Chancellor HFY finally said, his voice strained. Captain Reyes nodded from the view screen. "You have 6 hours. The Defiance will remain in position until then." The transmission ended, leaving the council alone with their shock and disbelief. "This is outrageous," Counselor Vrax shouted, his red scales flaring with anger. "We cannot allow a primitive species to dictate terms to the council." Chancellor HFY raised a hand for silence. "Primitive? Did you not see what they just revealed? They have technology we thought was centuries beyond their reach. They have operatives throughout our territory. They have taken control of our most secure facilities without firing a shot." Security Director Valthex chittered nervously. "How did we miss this? Our evaluation team spent decades studying their world." "I believe I can answer that," said a quiet voice from the back of the chamber. All eyes turned to see Jarrell, a junior diplomatic aide. The young Felbian had spent 15 years on Earth, longer than any other council representative. "Speak, Jarrell," the Chancellor commanded. Jarrell stepped forward. "We saw what they wanted us to see. When our teams visited their military facilities, they showed us outdated weapons and technologies. When we examined their space program, they revealed only their public projects. We thought we were being thorough, but we were following paths they laid out for us." "Impossible," Vrax scoffed. "Our evaluators cannot be so easily deceived." "Can't they?" Jarrell asked. "Tell me, Counselor, have you ever visited Earth yourself?" Vrax bristled. "Of course not. I would not waste my time on such a—" "That is precisely the problem," Jarrell interrupted. "We viewed humans as beneath us, as supplicants seeking our approval. That arrogance blinded us." On the Defiance, Captain Reyes ended her transmission to the Council and turned to her bridge crew. "Well, the ball is in their court now." Dr. Rodriguez nodded. "They'll argue among themselves for hours. The militant faction will push for immediate retaliation. The moderates will urge caution. In the end, they'll realize they have no choice but to negotiate." "Are you sure?" asked Lieutenant Sam Cooper, the youngest officer on the bridge. Rodriguez smiled. "I spent 20 years studying council politics, Lieutenant. Their system requires consensus, and they can't reach consensus while we have control of their key installations." Reyes turned to her communications officer. Send a message to Admiral Mason. Phase 2 is complete. The Council is deliberating. Back on Earth, Admiral Mason received the update in the Denver Command Center. Commander Wright stood beside him, studying the holographic display showing Earth forces throughout Council space. "How long do you think they'll take?" Wright asked. Mason shrugged. "Hard to say. Their species don't think like we do. Some of them live for centuries. They're not used to making quick decisions." "Well, we've given them a lot to think about," Wright said with a small smile. Mason nodded. "Indeed. Lieutenant, Kelly, show me the status of the Phoenix satellites." Kelly tapped his console, and the display changed to show hundreds of small points of light surrounding Earth. To any conventional sensor, they would appear as simple communications satellites. In reality, each contained defensive capabilities, far beyond what the Council believed humans possessed. "All stations report normal," Kelly confirmed. "The Council still hasn't detected them." "Good," Mason said. "Let's hope we never need to activate them." On Mars, Governor Heather Martinez continued her tour with the Council representatives who had been stationed there. Unlike the hostile takeovers, at military installations this was a planned revelation, showing the true face of human achievement. "This dome contains over 100,000 plant species," she explained as they entered a massive glass structure. "We've been testing which Earth plants can thrive in Martian soil once it's properly treated." One of the Council scientists, a plant specialist named Zen, touched a flowering bush with careful fingers. "This is impossible. The terraforming techniques you shared with the Council would take decades to reach this stage." Martinez smiled. "Those were our early prototypes. We've made significant improvements." "Why hide this progress?" Zen asked. "The Council values scientific advancement." "Does it?" Martinez asked gently. "Or does it value control over which species possess which technologies? We learned early in our dealings with the Council that revealing too much would only lead to restrictions." At a secure facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Harris monitored the global defense network. The massive underground base had been constructed in secret, using materials and methods that could evade Council scans. A young technician approached. "Sir, we're detecting unusual activity from the Council observation post in orbit." Harris frowned. "What kind of activity?" "They appear to be powering up weapon systems," the technician reported. Harris immediately opened a channel to Mason. "Admiral, we may have a problem. The Council observers still in Earth orbit might be preparing offensive measures." Mason's voice came through clearly. "Understood. Don't take any action yet. Let's see what they're planning." In Council space, Nicole Barnes and her team maintained control of the weapons research facility. The alien scientists had been cooperative, once they realized the humans had no intention of harming them. "Your species continues to surprise me," said Chief Researcher Moltar as he watched Barnes coordinate her team. "You have the facility in your power, yet you treat my people with respect." Barnes looked up from her tablet. "Why wouldn't we? This isn't about revenge or domination. It's about forcing the Council to see us as equals." "Many species would use this opportunity differently," Moltar observed. "Maybe that's why the Council's evaluation system is flawed," Barnes suggested. "You expect other species to behave as you would in their position." In the Council chamber, debate raged on. Some members called for immediate military action while others urged diplomacy. "We cannot negotiate with a species that has proven so deceptive," Councillor Vrax insisted. "We cannot fight a war against an enemy we clearly do not understand," countered Nim Lorath. "The humans have shown remarkable restraint. They could have attacked our worlds, but instead they've simply demonstrated their capabilities." Chancellor Ekvar listened to the arguments, his mind racing. 500 years of Council procedures, and none of them covered this situation. No species had ever challenged the Council this way. "Jarrell," he said suddenly, silencing the chamber. "You spent more time among humans than anyone else here. What do they truly want?" The young aide considered carefully before answering. "They want respect, Chancellor. They want to be seen for what they are, not what we wish them to be. They want the freedom to develop without interference, and the right to participate in galactic affairs as equals. And if we refuse, asked Valthex. Gerald's expression grew serious. Then I believe they will show us why they have survived on their violent world for so long. As the 6-hour deadline approached, tensions rose throughout. Council space. Earth vessels maintained their positions, not attacking, not retreating. Just waiting. On the Defiance, Captain Reyes prepared to reopen communications with the Council. Are we ready for Phase 3, Doctor? Rodriguez nodded. Whether they choose negotiation or confrontation, we're prepared. The view screen activated, showing Chancellor Ekvar's face. His expression was solemn. Captain Reyes, he said formally. The Galactic Council has reached a decision regarding Earth's demonstration. Reyes straightened in her chair. We're listening, Chancellor. In Denver, Admiral Mason and Commander Wright watched the transmission with bated breath. Everything they had worked for over 50 years came down to this moment. Ready all stations, Mason ordered quietly. This could go either way. Chancellor Ekvar's image filled the view screen on the Defiance. Captain Reyes and her crew waited in tense silence for his next words. After much deliberation, the Chancellor began, the Council acknowledges that our assessment of Earth was incomplete. Reyes kept her expression neutral, though inside she felt a surge of satisfaction. I'm pleased to hear that, Chancellor. We propose a new arrangement, Ekvar continued. Not membership as previously defined, but a special diplomatic status. While we reassess our relationship with your species, Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward. What exactly does special diplomatic status entail? The quarantine will be lifted immediately, Ekvar said. Earth vessels will be permitted to travel Council space under certain regulations. A new joint committee will be formed to establish proper protocols moving forward. Reyes exchanged glances. With Rodriguez. This was progress, but not enough. And Earth's sovereignty? She asked. Will Council observers continue to monitor our development? Will restrictions be placed on our technological advancement? Chancellor Ekvar's feathered crest rose slightly, a sign of discomfort in his species. We propose a mutual observation program, Council representatives on Earth and Earth representatives on Council worlds. Reyes nodded slowly. That sounds more like a partnership of equals. We will need to discuss the specific terms. Of course, Ekvar agreed. I suggest a formal meeting. Perhaps you would do us the honor of bringing Earth's representatives to the Council homeworld. We accept, Reyes said. We will arrive in 3 standard days. The transmission ended, and the bridge crew of the Defiance broke into relieved smiles. They blinked, Lieutenant Cooper said. Rodriguez shook his head. They adapted. Don't underestimate them. They've ruled the galaxy for 500 years. They know when to bend rather than break. Reyes opened a channel to Earth. Admiral Mason, the Council has agreed to negotiations. The quarantine is lifted and they're inviting an Earth delegation to their homeworld. In Denver, Mason allowed himself a small smile. Well done, Captain. But stay alert. This isn't over yet. He turned to Commander Wright. Contact Secretary General Carter. Tell him we need a diplomatic team ready to depart in 24 hours. Wright nodded. Do we maintain our positions at the Council facilities? For now, Mason decided. They're our best leverage until the new agreement is formalized. Across the solar system, humans received news of the Council's decision with mixed reactions. In the Mars colony, workers celebrated in the streets. On lunar bases, there was cautious optimism. On Earth itself, people gathered around view screens to hear the latest updates. In Washington, D.C., Secretary General Daniel Carter prepared for the most important diplomatic mission in human history. He had been elected to lead Earth's unified government just 3 years earlier, never imagining he would be the one to negotiate humanity's place among the stars. The negotiating team is assembled, sir, his aide informed him. They're ready for your final briefing. Carter nodded. And the Phoenix Protocol? Still active, as Admiral Mason recommended. Carter walked into the briefing room where 12 of Earth's brightest minds waited. Diplomats, scientists, military strategists, all chosen for this critical mission. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, In 48 hours, we will meet with the Galactic Council as equals for the first time. Our goal is simple: secure Earth's right to develop without interference while establishing our place in the galactic community. A seasoned diplomat raised her hand. Sir, what happens if negotiations break down? Carter's expression grew serious. Then we demonstrate that we can be either the galaxy's greatest allies or its worst nightmare, but let's hope it doesn't come to that. On the Council homeworld of Valtoria, preparations were underway for the human delegation's arrival. The vast, crystal-spired city that served as the seat of galactic government had never hosted representatives from a species that had forced its way to the table. Chancellor Ekvar met with his advisors in a secure chamber beneath the Grand Hall. Are we certain the humans won't attempt a show of force here? Asked Valthex nervously. They won't need to, Gerald pointed out. They've already made their point. Now they want legitimacy, not fear. Ekvar nodded. Prepare for full diplomatic honors. We will treat them as we would any major power. Councillor Vrax, still seething from the humans' tactics, slammed his scaled fist on the table. This sets a dangerous precedent. Other species will see that threatening the Council yields results. Other species lack humanity's unique combination of deceptiveness and capability, Ekvar replied calmly. And perhaps this is a precedent we need. The Council has grown complacent over centuries. Perhaps we needed to be challenged. 3. Days later, the Earth diplomatic vessel Harmony entered orbit around Valtoria. Unlike the military ships that had appeared throughout Council space, the Harmony was designed to impress rather than intimidate. A gleaming white craft with sleek lines and obvious luxury. Secretary General Carter stood on the bridge, taking in the breathtaking view of the Council homeworld below. It's beautiful, he murmured. Yes, agreed Dr. Rodriguez, who had joined the diplomatic team as their foremost expert on Council culture. They chose this world for its aesthetic appeal. The Council believes that beauty inspires wisdom. Let's hope they're right, Carter said. We could all use some wisdom today. The Harmony descended to the planet's surface, landing on a designated platform near the Council's Grand Hall. As the ramp lowered, Carter squared his shoulders. Remember, he told his team, we are not here as supplicants, we are here as equals. The Earth delegation walked down the ramp to find an honor guard of Council representatives waiting. The aliens wore ceremonial attire, a sign of respect that wasn't lost on Rodriguez. Welcome to Valtoria, Chancellor Ekvar said, stepping forward to greet them. The Council is honored by your presence. Carter nodded. The people of Earth thank you for your hospitality, Chancellor. We look forward to productive discussions. As the human delegation followed their hosts into the Grand Hall, curious alien faces watched from every direction. News of Earth's dramatic stand had spread throughout the galaxy. Many species were reassessing their own relationships with the Council in light of humanity's actions. In a private chamber, Carter found himself seated across from Chancellor Ekvar for a preliminary conversation before formal negotiations began. Your species has surprised us, Ekvar admitted. That doesn't happen often. Carter smiled. We tend to surprise ourselves sometimes. May I ask how long you've been planning this demonstration? 50 years, Carter answered honestly, since the first Council observers arrived on Earth. Ekvar's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. Impressive patience for such a short-lived species. We may not live as long as your people, Chancellor, but we understand the value of playing the long game. Meanwhile, at key locations throughout Council space, Earth forces remained on alert. On the Weapons Research Station, Nicole Barnes received updated orders from Admiral Mason. Maintain position, but prepare for withdrawal on short notice. She read to her team. It seems the negotiations are expected to go well. Back on Earth, Mason and Wright monitored the situation from Denver Command Center. Do you think they'll try something? Wright asked quietly. Mason considered the question. The Council as a whole? No. But there may be factions who can't accept the new reality. That's why we're keeping our forces deployed until the treaty is signed. As Secretary General Carter and Chancellor HFY began their private discussion of terms, neither was aware that elsewhere on Valtoria, certain council members were indeed plotting to ensure the negotiations would fail. The future of both humanity and the Galactic Council hung in the balance. Secretary General Carter sensed something was wrong the moment he entered the Grand Council chamber. The room was massive, with seating for hundreds of representatives from across the galaxy, but several seats in the Rigelian section were empty. Councillor Vrax was also nowhere to be seen. "Is something the matter?" Chancellor HFY asked, noting Carter's expression. "Just taking in the grandeur," Carter replied smoothly, not wanting to reveal his concerns without proof. The Earth delegation took their places at the specially prepared table. The formal negotiations were about to begin when Carter's security chief, Jack Wilson, approached and whispered in his ear, "Sir, we've lost contact with Nicole Barnes on the weapons research station." Carter maintained his diplomatic smile while his mind raced. This was no coincidence. He made a small hand gesture to Dr. Rodriguez, their agreed signal for potential trouble. Rodriguez immediately activated his hidden communicator, sending an alert to Admiral Mason on Earth. In the Denver Command Center, Mason received the warning and sprang into action. "Commander Wright, full alert status for all forces. Something's happening at the weapons research station." Wright quickly established communications with Earth vessels throughout Council space. "Defiance, this is Denver Command. We have a situation. Captain Reyes, can you get eyes on the Rigel facility?" Aboard the Defiance, Reyes acknowledged the order. "Changing course now, ETA 20 minutes. Mason turned to Lieutenant Kelly. "Activate Phoenix satellites. Authorization code, Armstrong." Kelly's fingers flew across his console. "Phoenix network activating, sir. All satellites online and awaiting further commands." Back on Valtoria, the formal proceedings began with Chancellor HFY's opening statement. "Today marks a historic occasion. For the first time, the Council welcomes a species that has demonstrated its readiness for galactic participation through unconventional means." Murmurs rippled through the assembled representatives. Some sounded approving, others concerned. Carter listened with half an ear, his attention divided between the ceremony and the potential crisis developing elsewhere. He caught Rodriguez's eye, and the scientist gave a tiny nod, confirming that Mason had been alerted. At the weapons research station, Nicole Barnes and her team had been overpowered by a sudden influx of Rigelian security forces. The attack had been swift and coordinated, catching the humans off guard. "Take them to the holding cells," ordered a tall Rigelian commander, "and prepare the prototype for launch." Barnes, her hands bound, glared at their captors. "This won't end well for you. Earth will respond." The commander smiled coldly. "That's exactly what we're counting on." In another section of the facility, Rigelian technicians worked furiously to activate a massive weapon, one that had been kept secret even from most of the Council. Its destination, Earth. The Defiance dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the Rigel system. Captain Reyes immediately ordered scans of the research station. "Multiple power signatures, Captain," reported her science officer. "They're activating something big in the central chamber." "Hail them," Reyes ordered. No response. "Their communications are active, but they're ignoring us." Reyes made a quick decision. "Prepare boarding teams. We need to retake that station immediately." She opened a channel to Denver. "Admiral, we have a situation at Rigel. The station appears to be powering up some kind of weapon. We're moving to intercept, but you should prepare planetary defenses." On Earth, Mason received the warning with grim determination. "Understood. Captain, be careful. We don't know what weapons they might have there." He turned to his staff. "Activate all planetary defense systems. Alert all military commands worldwide. This is not a drill." In the Valtoria Council chamber, the proceedings were interrupted when an aide rushed to Chancellor HFY's side and whispered urgently in his ear. The Chancellor's feathered crest flattened in alarm. "What is it?" Carter asked, already suspecting the answer. HFY looked genuinely distressed. "Secretary General, I've just been informed of unauthorized military action at the Rigel research facility. I assure you this is not sanctioned by the Council. Carter's expression hardened. Is this how the Council negotiates, Chancellor, with one hand extended in friendship while the other holds a knife? No, Ekvar insisted. This is the work of a faction led by Councillor Vrax. They do not speak for the Council as a whole. Before Carter could respond, the chamber doors burst open. Councillor Vrax entered, flanked by Rigelian guards. The time for talks is over, Vrax announced. The human threat will be neutralized today. Chancellor Ekvar rose to his full height. You overstep your authority, Councillor. Stand down immediately. I think not, Vrax replied coldly. For too long you've led the Council toward weakness. The humans have proven they cannot be trusted. They infiltrated our worlds, our facilities. They must be shown their place. Carter remained calm. And what place would that be, Councillor? Extinction, Vrax hissed. Our weapon is already targeting your homeworld. At the Rigel station, the Defiance's boarding teams engaged in fierce combat with Rigelian forces. Captain Reyes led one team toward the central chamber where the weapon was powering up. We need to shut it down, she told her team as they fought their way forward. Whatever it is, we can't let them fire it at Earth. In another section, a second team located and freed Nicole Barnes and her captured personnel. They've activated the Sunbreaker, Barnes told them urgently. It's a stellar manipulation weapon. It can trigger a massive solar flare and direct it at a target world. On Earth, Mason received this intelligence with growing concern. Right, do we have any defense against something like that? The Phoenix network was designed to handle many threats, she replied. But a directed solar flare? I'm not sure. Mason made his decision. Activate Phoenix satellites, full defensive configuration, and pray it's enough. In the council chamber, tense moments passed as guards loyal to Chancellor Ekvar surrounded Vrax and his supporters. The remaining council members watched in shock as the unity of 500 years crumbled before their eyes. Carter's communicator chimed. He listened intently, then allowed himself a small smile. It seems your plan has failed, Counselor, he told Vrax. Our forces have retaken the research station. Your weapon has been disabled. Vrax's scales darkened with rage. Impossible. No, more impossible than Earth infiltrating your facilities in the first place, Carter replied evenly. On the Defiance, Captain Reyes received confirmation that the Sunbreaker had been successfully shut down. She contacted Earth with the good news. The threat has been neutralized, Admiral. The weapon is under our control. Mason breathed a sigh of relief. Well done, Captain. Stand by for further orders. In Valtoria, Chancellor Ekvar ordered Vrax and his conspirators taken into custody. The council session resumed, though with a very different tone. Secretary General, Ekvar said formally, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I offer our deepest apologies for this incident. Councillor Vrax will face justice for his actions. Carter nodded. The actions of a few should not derail what we came here to accomplish. Earth remains ready to establish a new relationship with the Council, but as true equals, with mutual respect and transparency. Agreed, Ekvar said. I propose we begin anew, with a treaty that acknowledges Earth's sovereignty and establishes protocols for cooperation and exchange. 3 days later, the Earth Council Accord was signed in the same chamber where Vrax had attempted his coup. The document recognized Earth as a sovereign power with all rights and privileges of a major galactic civilization. As the Earth delegation prepared to return home, Chancellor Ekvar spoke privately with Carter. Your species is remarkable. The Chancellor admitted. In 50 years, you've accomplished what most take centuries to achieve. Carter smiled. We had good motivation. Nothing unites humans like being told we're not good enough. Back on Earth, Admiral Mason watched the treaty signing via secure transmission. Beside him, Commander Wright couldn't contain her smile. We did it, she said. We actually did it. Mason nodded. Phase 3 complete. Earth has taken its place among the stars. Across human settlements throughout the solar system, people celebrated the dawn of a new era. Humanity had unleashed its fury, not through violence, but through cleverness, patience, and determination. The Galactic Council had been caught completely off guard, and the galaxy would never be the same again.